In this video, we are back playing 2-5 cash at the Wynn. There are a ton of interesting pre-flop spots, and we play a huge 4-bet pot with ace-king suited. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's free. We're trying to get to 5K subscribers. Let's go. In the first hand of the night, there is an early position raise to $20 and a call. We have ace-queen off in the big blind and decide to squeeze to 115. Just the original raiser makes a call. The flop comes 10-5-4. I start with a check and our opponent checks back. The turn is the queen of diamonds. Could definitely bet here, but don't want to make our hand two face up, so we go ahead and check. This time our opponent bets $85 and we make the call. The river is the ace of diamonds. King jack gets there for the straight and flush draws get there as well. But with top two pair here, our hand is still very strong. We check and our opponent bets $280. Nothing to do here but make the call. Our opponent shows pocket tens for flopped top set. I think it was a pretty big mistake of his not to bet the flop. We could have definitely floated with ace queen. Happy to not lose it all here. In the next hand, we have pocket kings and we raise an early position to $20. The button is a short stack who makes the call, and the big blind is an older, tighter opponent who 3-bets to 100. We have about 1K to start this hand and our opponent covers. I definitely want to put in the 4-bet and we make it 360. This sizing is honestly a pretty big mistake. When I use this size, I basically have no bluffs. It's also not necessary when we are in position. We could have gone smaller, something like 250 or 260. The logic here was that our opponent who 3-bet us was very tight, so I thought they would call a big size. But in reality, them being tight just makes them want to fold more to a big size. Which is what happens here, as the button caller makes a fold and the big blind makes a fold. This next hand is huge, as we have ace-king of diamonds and we raise an early position to $20. The hijack makes a call and the big blind 3-bets to $85. Being $1,600 effective in this hand, we are very deep. For this reason, as well as the fact that we don't want the hijack to call if we were to just call, we decide to 4-bet to $320. This is another 4-bet that is maybe too large, but in this case, it works out as the big blind makes a call. It works out in more ways than one, as the flop comes 7-4-3 all diamonds. We flop the absolute nuts. Our opponent checks to us and we don't want to bet too big here to scare them away, so we bet small. We bet 175. They make the call. The turn is nice and clean, the deuce of hearts. There's about $1,000 in the pot, and this time when our opponent checks to us, we bet small once again, 350. No reason to go big here, as this size sets up for a nice, small, and attractive size jam on the river. A jam that turns out will not be necessary, as our opponent slowly starts building chips into an all-in. We have a chip in the pot to represent a call before they can even finish putting out their bet.
You got flush?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You're good. Flush is good.
Before the 5 of clubs even comes on the river, our opponent lets us know that we are good and we table our hand. The jam was for about $670 more, or about 1K total, making this an over $3,000 pot.
We love you, Alex Duval.
In the next hand, there is an under the gun short stack limp for $5. We raise an early position to $30 with pocket 8s. The small blind 3-bets to 115. The limper folds, and being pretty deep here, we go ahead and make the call in position. The flop comes ace-7-5. There's about 240 in the pot, and our opponent bets $70. With an overpair to the 7, backdoor spades, backdoor straight draw, we're going to make the call. The turn is the ace of hearts. You would think this would slow down our opponent, but it does not, as he continues and bets 125 into about 375. This is very small and could mean one or two things. Number one, he's got an ace and we are screwed. Or number two, he has a bigger pair than us and we are still screwed. Either way you look at it, this just can't really be a bluff, so we go ahead and make the fold. Next up, we have a very playable hand, 9-8 of spades. There's an early position limp for $5 and we raise on the cutoff to $25. The limper makes the call. This player is only about $300 effective, and the flop comes king-7-5 with 1 spade. It checks to us, and with a range advantage, a gut shot, and backdoor spades, we are going to bet. We bet $20, and our opponent makes the call. The turn is the 6 of spades. We absolutely drill the nuts, and even have a flush draw to go along with it. This time when our opponent checks to us, we bet $75 into about 90. They once again make the call. The river is the classic brick that we all love to see, the deuce of hearts. Our opponent checks once again, and with about 250 in the pot, it's time to get all the money.
All in. All in.
We put our opponent all in for about 150. After some serious thought, our opponent eventually calls. We quickly turn our hand over and, well, we'll just let the dealer take it from here.
Only the nuts.
The dealer collects the chips, waits for our opponent to muck, and pushes the pot our way. This hand was a great lesson in why raising versus a limp can often be better than limping as well. Next up, we have pocket kings again in a pre-flop situation. There is a button straddle on for $10, and the under the gun player raises to $30. We 3-bet to $100 in early position, and the hijack actually cold calls off about an $800 stack. This entices the button to actually 4-bet to $320. Action now folds back around to us. The button has about $1,200 total. Calling here seems like the worst option as we really don't want the hijack to come along. If we had pocket aces, I think it would be a different story. We could 5-bet a minimum size of like 600, but this would be putting half of our opponent's stack in, so this would look way too strong. For this reason, we just decide to 5-bet all in. It folds back around to the hijack who makes the fold. At the end of the day, this is not such a bad result. We pick up a lot of dead money. Next up, we have pocket tens, and there is a button straddle on for $10. We raise to $30 under the gun 1, and the button and the small blind both make the call. The big blind, however, has different plans, and 3-bets to $150. While our opponent could certainly just be squeezing as a bluff, our hand cannot be 4-bet here, so we just make the call. The button comes along as well. The flop comes 8-5 deuce. With multiple players in this hand, there is already almost $500 in the pot. The person who 3-bet starts off by checking to us. They are going to be doing this with a lot of their range, including hands that are better than ours like bigger pocket pairs. For this reason, as well as the fact that we have action still left behind us, we start with a check as well. The button ends flop action by also checking back. The turn comes the jack of diamonds. This time it checks to us once again. With two other people in this hand, I think we still need to proceed with caution as now there is an overcard to our pocket tens. And of course, a flush draw has now gotten there. We also don't want to inflate the pot, so we go ahead and check, and the button ends up checking back once again. At this point, there's still about $500 in the pot, and no one has bet post-flop. It seems like we have the best hand here, and I become more confident of this as the river comes the jack of spades. This newfound confidence quickly deflates as the big blind decides to finally bet, and it's a sizable bet, $425. This is a pretty good river for us. It makes it less likely for our opponents to have a jack themselves, and also the diamond draw that came in on the turn misses on the river. Not to mention our hand is somewhat under-repped here. For these reasons, we do eventually decide to make the call. The button eventually folds, and the big blind shows ace-jack off. They turned top pair and river trips. Although it didn't work out this time, this hand could have gone either way. Next up, we are short-handed with only 5 players at the table, and we have ace-jack of hearts, and we raise to $20 from the hijack. The cutoff and the button make the call. The big blind 3-bets to $120. We are not going anywhere with a suited ace, so we make the call, and the players behind us make the fold. The flop comes ace 5-3 with 2 hearts. We have top pair, good kicker with the nut flush draw. The big blind down bets to $80, and we just make the call. The turn is the 5 of diamonds. This time, our opponent checks. At the time, I didn't think we could get much value here from worse, so I go ahead and check back. The river is the 9 of hearts. Our top pair has improved to the nut flush. We go for value by betting $325 into about $440. We pretty much get snap called and show our hand. As you heard, our opponent ends up having the same hand as us, ace-jack, except we were free rolling on the turn and obviously winning by the river. After seeing our opponent's hand, I definitely regret not betting the turn.
Should've gone bigger.
In the last hand of the night, we have pocket tens, and there is a straddle on under the gun for $10. An early position Euro player raises to $30, and we end up 3-betting to $100 on the button. It folds back around to early position, who ends up 4-betting to $275. Being about 2k effective to start this hand, we are going nowhere, we make the call. The flop comes ace, deuce, deuce. Our opponent bets $225. On paired boards, you generally want to bet small, and this is not so small. Versus this half pot sizing, we are just going to make the fold. I can certainly get behind calling one street here quite often, but versus this sizing, I just don't think we have to, especially considering there are 2 diamonds on board and we do not have a diamond. We will wave the white flag to end the night and cash out. On the way out, we take a quick look at the final table environment of a huge $1,600 1 mil guaranteed tournament at the Wynn, where a casual $360K is for first. Mark my words, we will be there one day. Alright guys, we are walking out of the Wynn. It's about 3:30 a.m. About 4.5 hour session. Went pretty well for the most part. As you saw, we won a huge pot with ace king suited there. Glad we 4-bet pre. I think it made sense to 4-bet pre. Man, the pocket 10s, should have probably folded that, but the guy had just bluffed in kind of a similar spot. Made me lean towards calling. Figured he could be turning just ace king or something with a diamond into a bluff, but that's not that likely. But anyways, we ran pretty well. Game was okay. At the end of the night there, a Euro sat down to our right and was 3-betting and 4-betting quite often. Same guy we lost the pocket 10s to. So we did lose some money to him and knew when to leave, because then his friend sat down next to him and they started speaking the same language, even partially while they were in hands, which is kind of fucked up, obviously. So we left. We bought in for $1,200 total and cashed out for $3,780, which is about a $2,500 profit. Pretty good night for a 4-hour session on a Friday night. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about the hands, and shout out to the guy that said hi to me at the Wynn tonight. Looked like you just came from the club. It was very random. Was not expecting that. It still surprises me when people notice me and know me from the vlog. So if you do notice me, be sure to say hi. Really appreciate that. It's really awesome. Catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.
We love you, Alex Duval.